So Leah, you are an architect. You're the president, actually, at Architects FORA. Your design portfolio includes multi-family housing, custom residential, master planning, and workplace design. You hold a Bachelor of Architecture and minor in Fine Arts and 4 years of structural engineering from Cal Poly at San Luis Obispo. For over a decade, you have managed and led businesses in diverse industries, including retail, healthcare, design. One of the things that really caught my attention is that you also specialize in affordable housing, and you obviously you became an entrepreneur in architecture, which is really, really interesting. I don't know why you went into architecture and not structural engineering, and how do these two actually interconnect at certain point. We'll talk about this in a second. You obviously live in Washington, and you have very interesting hobbies. One of them is first-person shooter. I can't claim to know what that means, but it definitely caught my attention. So probably
video games.
Okay. Video games, very, very interesting. So, in addition to cats, coffee, gardening, and traveling, obviously. Kate, you're a principal at Architects FORA as well, and leader of Building Excellence. You are a licensed architect in California, Colorado, and in Washington State as well. And I wasn't aware that actually architects had to be licensed in different states. That was really eye-opening to me. So we'll talk about this in a second. You also worked on affordable housing projects in Southern California after graduating summa cum laude. Correct me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. With a Bachelor of Architecture and minor in Sustainable Environments from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. I'm assuming this is where you met with Leah?
Actually, no.
What
We
are
met
the
way
odds,
after, but it is where I met Sarah.
Fantastic. So you are a travel enthusiast and a major foodie. You love baking and cooking, and you're always searching for new restaurants and bars to try out. I have a question for you. Couldn't help. Did you ever try the Lebanese food?
I have tried Lebanese food.
You gotta love it.
Fantastic.
That's good. Good to know. Our pride. Good to know. So I'll move on to Mrs. Sarah. You're a principal at Architects FORA. You're California licensed architect and lead accredited professional with a passion for the design process and creatively collaborating. You strongly believe that architecture has the power and the responsibility to improve lives through purposefully designed spaces and by affecting positive social change in the broader community. These are big objectives. You practiced architecture in the Bay Area for over a decade. You joined FORA, which was OJK Architecture back in the days, in 2019, actually. You spend a lot of time with your children and husband, obviously, and you also enjoy playing games, making art, and going on adventures. For relaxation, you enjoy hiking, sometimes solo, which is something that we share. I like to hike on my own. Again, thank you for joining us, ladies. Extremely interesting profiles of yours. And the first question that crosses my mind, how did you meet?
I can jump in on this one. So Kate and I go way back to the first day of the dorms at Cal Poly. We were 2 doors down from each other, became fast friends, and did a lot of life together in college. We lived together for a year. We both met our future husbands right around the same time. So just a lot of history between the two of us. We didn't have the opportunity to bump into Leah at school, but our paths crossed after probably 100 opportunities they should have crossed, but didn't actually cross until 2020, actually. And that's when our story with Leah started.
You never met at school?
Mm-mm.
No memories whatsoever?
And more ironically, Kate and I grew up in the same small town.
Mhm.
And we're pretty sure we went to the same dance class together, but never knew each other until a few years ago.
Sure.
So I met Sarah through an opportunity with my business. You mentioned entrepreneurship. I had started a firm in 2018, and the process of going through COVID, we were okay logistically because we were a remote practice. but we ran out of work because most of our clients were panicked and put their projects on pause. And Sarah worked at OJK at the time, and they had sort of the opposite problem. They had plenty of work, not enough help, and didn't really know how to go remote. And so there was this opportunity for us to partner through a shared employee, actually, where our team helped them go remote, bring them into remote and cloud-based systems. And then they, in turn, worked with my team to supply as staffing on some of their projects and working with Sarah. That's how I got to know Sarah, was through that random opportunity. And then through Sarah met Kate and found out we had just so much in common, including our backgrounds and alma maters.
Leah, what got you into architecture? Why not the structural engineering?
Oh gosh.
I mean, if you knew you wanted the architecture, why do you even bother having a structural engineering degree in the first place?
I was really very confident and thought I could just master everything that you needed to know to build a building, including the structure. And I figured I'll major in both. But I was pretty miserable in structural engineering after a handful of years. As you can tell, 4 years I should have graduated, but I dropped out instead. And I couldn't possibly see myself as an engineer. But funnily enough, I couldn't really see myself as an architect either. When I was young, I really loved building forts, and I loved creating spaces to share with my friends and my pets. But I was not like a Lego person. I didn't love structure. I didn't love like the form. So there was something about architecture that really spoke to me, but it took me a very long time to figure out what that was. I ended up going back to Cal Poly and graduating with my architecture degree. And at the same time, I was working in a medical practice, running their business for them, and found that I really loved being that person on the back end, helping oversee sort of staffing and systems and tools, and enabling a team of professionals to do the great work that they love to do. And so that clicked to me that, okay, I think I understand my place in architecture, which is to create this sort of representational metaphorical fort of a firm and have like the structure and system to support the people within that space to do the great work in architecture, so that they could do the same for other people. So I didn't know it was something in me, and I think I finally have figured it out. I'm a little atypical when it comes to the path for architects.
Do structural engineers limit the creativity of architects?
No,
not the
a
good ones.
Good ones, yeah, good ones make the architecture better.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What if because architects dream a lot, and they come sometimes with these really, really crazy designs and models, and they go to the structural guys and they're like, no, this is not doable or not safe or not feasible. Do you come across this very often?
I mean, I think it's funny you ask this, because we've been working through what are key qualities of our design process that makes our practice unique. And one of them is, is the partners that we collaborate with, and just choosing people that are really passionate and share the same vision and mission that we do. And working in housing, particularly in affordable housing, we're not designing crazy abstract forms. That's not the goal at all. It's the exact opposite. It's designing the most livable space for our residents. And so we see our structural engineers as key partners in finding the most cost-effective way to build our buildings, so that we can put as much of the focus on the living experience for our residents and the amenities, the support spaces that will just be a huge benefit to them as they experience life in our buildings. Yeah, all that to say is our engineers are awesome partners. We choose really high quality, awesome creative thinkers that are very much aligned with our mission, and they make our buildings better. Another core tenet of our partnerships is that we really try to know the people we're working with. We're a very relational firm. And so it's not just a colleague, it's somebody that we know, where they live, about their family. It's having that personal connection to the people we work with grounds our work and just ties us together so we can be most impactful.
Interesting. Kate, how easy is it to combine sustainable environments with affordable housing?
Yeah, that's a really great question. We find there's a couple answers to that. Number one, affordable housing developments are always competing for funds. that are granted by the government, federal government, state government, city governments. Often, as part of the criteria for those funds, there are pretty substantial sustainability requirements above and beyond, Cal Green Building Code. And so affordable housing is frequently, ticks more of the boxes of sustainability because we are competing for those funds at a high level with other comparable affordable housing developments. In addition to that, our clients have a really strong focus on energy efficiency, water efficiency, just due to their operational needs. These are, nonprofit developers who are running hundreds or thousands of units of housing across the state. And so for them, any incremental change they can make in terms of efficiency of services is huge for them just from a pure bottom line standpoint. Of course, it's also the right thing to do. And they also, we've noticed with a lot of our clients, they are increasingly viewing the housing developments that we design together as areas of refuge during an emergency or during a disaster. So there's a really strong focus on passive strategies that will continue to make our developments livable during a disaster, even if power goes out. We have a lot of super innovative like solar and battery backup systems that are coming online in our projects. How durable are all of the finishes? How durable is the ground floor in case of flooding? All of these considerations, window to wall ratio so that the units stay comfortable. We don't have big swaths of glass that are cooking people who don't have, mechanical cooling available. So it comes both from that kind of funding source piece and also just from a really practical, this is the right thing to do, this is the right response to climate change piece that's a directive from our clients.
Is it expensive? Sustainable materials, sourcing sustainable materials and using them in these products, is it expensive? Is it cheaper or more expensive than conventional traditional material?
I'd say, it's such a focus in the industry right now that there's a really great variety of excellent sustainable materials. We're having this conversation on a project right now, looking for a super durable, like wood look cladding. And you can go composite, which is basically like plastic infused wood, or you can use like an aluminum wood look product that's 100% recyclable. These are pretty comparable in terms of cost. So it's just a matter of making sure as you're selecting materials, you're thinking about the whole life cycle cost of that material rather than just like aesthetics and the upfront cost.
Do they last longer or shorter?
Yeah, they're highly durable. Yeah, they last longer and they look great the whole time. They don't age.
Yeah, I would add into that to the cost discussion is yes, sustainable materials often have a higher upfront cost, but they are selected and designed to have a longer lifetime expectancy and be more durable. So you're not replacing that same material as many times in the life of the building as you would in maybe a lower cost upfront project. And so that's actually often a discussion we have around the higher cost for affordable housing. It's because our clients are maintaining a deed restricted lower rental rate on the units for 55 years. And so they're looking at the whole 55 year cycle of that building and how do they keep the operational costs lower than maybe a market rate developer who's looking for something that looks good on day one and they don't really think long term about when materials are going to be replaced down the line.
And Sarah, would it vary from one area to the other? For instance, building a sustainable material project in the Bay Area would differ from Colorado?
Very much so. Very different climates.
Yes.
We have it really easy out here in California.
Why? The governments are cheaper here or there, or is it the developers, or how the dynamics differ?
Oh, that's a great question. Definitely a slightly lower construction cost here in Colorado versus the Bay Area. The Bay Area is kind of one of the most costly places to construct anything. That's land cost and construction cost. But in Colorado, because we have much more extreme weather, we have to use higher class of finishes. We're limited in terms of how much of the year we can apply those finishes for pretty much anything that's liquid or fluid. And we also have really different mechanical system requirements. We're having a discussion right now about heat pumps that bottom out if it's -5 degrees, and that is not a conversation that you would have in the Bay Area. It's never -5 degrees in the Bay Area. So just understanding kind of the complexities of the 3 different areas we practice in. And, you know, yes, it may be cheaper in this one regard, but it's more extreme in another.
Leah, chasing business funded projects makes you more money or less money?
Chasing
Government funded, like running a business with government funded projects like low income residencies. Is that something you look up for, or that's something that you do out of your conscious?
We purposely have chosen to work with nonprofit affordable housing developers.
You don't like money, or
no? You know, and I think that's that may be a misconception. Our partners understand the value of what we do as architects, just as privately funded developers, but perhaps often more so than privately funded developers. As Sarah and Kate had said, these are buildings that stick with them for over 50 years. It's really important to them, the quality of work and craftsmanship and design that goes into them. They're also caring for the people that live in these buildings. And so the environments are extra important for that purpose. They're not in it to build a product and earn a profit and sell it for as much of a profit as possible. That's not their incentive. So from the perspective of the design team, no, you know, we are not sacrificing our fee compared to an architect working for a private developer. In fact, I came from a firm that worked exclusively with private developers, and they were more stringent on fee for the purpose of trying to squeeze the most profit out of the project as possible. It's pretty well known, you know, what an architecture firm, the range of fee you can expect for services for multifamily affordable housing project could be, and we're well within that and do excellent work, and our partners really appreciate us for that.
Interviewing a lot of people, you know, in this industry, I came to one conclusion that in general, the industry is challenged, right? Especially architects and engineers, engineering firms, because they run on very limited budgets, and developers are going more and more stringent on how much they spend. And obviously the highest margins go to the developers, not to the engineering companies. Or so how easy is it for a firm like you to continue to grow, continue to kind of navigate into the future and continue to succeed in such an environment, especially when we're working with public sector many of the times?
I can jump in. We've had some conversations with a few of our clients that, you know, oftentimes when we present a proposal for a new project with them, we're not the lowest, by far not the lowest. And so we've been calibrating and figuring out where we can find more efficiencies in our process so that we can bring our costs down to a more agreeable amount. However, we won't be the lowest. We don't want to be the lowest because we deeply value how we get to do our work. There's so much good that we can bring in the design process to a community, to people. There's a lot of restoration that can happen in that process. And so we don't want to sacrifice by making it the most efficient or the fastest or the lowest cost, because then you're missing out on a huge opportunity to bring the community around a building, to bring the future residents along as a stakeholder in the design of a building that they will own, like that will be theirs and that is supposed to serve their community. And so by just doing our best work, our clients are seeing that there is value there and that they're willing to find the right projects to bring us on that maybe we won't be the lowest cost, and that's okay. So we're just working through that balance of like, how do you find a reasonable cost, but not sacrifice the things that allow us to do our best work and serve the communities that we are.
How selective are you with your projects today?
We have a pretty robust go, no go, because we are so focused on, you know, nonprofit affordable housing. Obviously, projects that are in that realm we're all about, and there's a wide range in there. There's everything from like, are we helping someone densify their single family lot, or are we doing a new construction, you know, 100-unit building, or are we doing a rehabilitation of an existing multifamily building? In terms of anything outside of that, if we do a project that's not housing, we generally want it to be somehow in service of the community.